Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, sick. Dude.
Folks, welcome back to Trainwreck tonight, 386. It is Monday, April 28th. I am on my porch overlooking the west side of Buffalo. Beautiful day to be out in Western New York, so we had to do it. I know that you're probably enjoying the day out as well, so thank you for tuning in with us. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Crazy day for a post-draft Monday. So let's get into it. Let's bring in the crew. We got Slick Saturday. We got our friend, your friend, my friend, Jake, Micah. So gents, when I woke up today, I thought this would be, let's recap the draft. Like we'll look at some ASOs. I'm working on some, I don't even recall exactly what I was working on at work, but I was obviously scrolling the feed as well. And I just saw, I forget who it was, Beane's going nuclear on WGR. And by the time I had turned it on, the mushroom cloud was already in the air, boys. It was already like too late. Now, again, I typically turn into the morning show like on a drive to work. I do not make the Odyssey podcast, part of my everyday, and perhaps I should now because I'm missing out. I did not get to see this live, but a crazy kind of exchange here this morning between Brandon Beane and the WGR morning show. My first take was that it was outstanding for these guys. I thought everyone was talking about the show. Everyone was going over it. And I think they come off pretty fine in all of it. But I'm curious your guys' reaction, where you guys saw the whole beginning of it, and your take reaction to this entire. I labeled it a kerfuffle. I think that's fair.
It's an accurate word for it, I think. Yeah, it definitely benefits these WGR guys. I thought they handled it well also. And Maniac saying the mushroom cloud is already in the air. I tuned in. Not only did I miss Beane, I totally missed what Jeremy and others were saying prior to this. So I can't speak on their opinion per se, but I don't feel like Brandon Beane is very wrong. I heard a lot of the same chatter going into this draft about this. It felt like last year's draft as well. The wide receiver clamor without the same importance. And Brandon Beane brought up a lot of really good points with valid statistics to back them up. I see why it was grinding his gears watching Bill's Twitter or any of all social media, Bill's Mafia, go in on that point of view when Brandon Beane seemingly has done a pretty good job balancing out this offense at the receiver position, and the points are showing for it. I thought he brought up very good points, and I don't think he's wrong. Micah, what do you think?
You made a great point, Slick, in there that with what Brandon Beane did this morning was not. I don't even think it mattered what they were talking about, and I also wasn't listening to the morning show. I did the same thing as you, Maniac. I was alerted by you of what had happened about the mushroom cloud that had just erupted there. But I don't think it mattered what they were talking about. I think this was a very me and Mike Bunt kind of talked about it a little bit both today already, but it was very strategic by Brandon Beane, by the Bills, PR, whoever was involved in this, because he came out the way he came out. I'm sorry, guys, that was extremely prepared and extremely scripted. To use the word bitchin' the way he did and bitch and use it like that in that effect, it's like a word that's like, ooh, it's kind of like passe, but not really passe. Like, we've seen, what they took that from? He's Kazuchika Okada all of a sudden. Like, what are we doing here? He's watching. We know it. We know someone's a mark in the Bills.
Absolutely.
I do think he's planned attack. I think this was a planned attack, and I do think he's right. I think that they have addressed the wide receiver position with a high pick last year. They re-signed Khalil Shakir, a guy that they've developed from a 5th-round pick into a star. They signed another receiver this offseason to good money. Like Palmer's, whatever you think of Josh Palmer, he's making good money. They signed Curtis Samuel last year. It didn't work out. He had injuries, everything else. He got decent money too. That's 4 spots. 3 guys getting decent money and 1 with a high draft pick investment. Where's this magical wide receiver draft pick? Where's the playing time coming? Where's it happening? He's wide receiver 5. You know how much wide receiver 5 gets on the field on a team when you also have 2 tight ends, a tight end who's getting paid big money and a 1st-round pick tight end? It's just like, it's Beane's whole argument today was about asset allocation. He was telling fans and the media Where you want me to invest into wide receiver, and then you're going to complain that I've invested poorly into wide receiver. I can't win here with you people. And that's fair. I think that's fair. He can't win. If they would have picked a wide receiver, if they pick a wide receiver in the second round and they don't have a guy who has double-digit sacks next year, what's the biggest criticism next year by week 8? Oh, why didn't they draft a pass rusher? Oh, we knew they needed to get a pass rusher. We knew Epineza and Rousseau couldn't do it. No, the biggest hole on this team, if you watch this team at all last year with any eyes, the biggest hole was they couldn't get to the pass rusher. And then in the playoffs, the biggest hole was Khair Elam couldn't cover anybody. They put in their backup cornerback, and there's literally a clip of him falling all over the field in the AFC Championship game. Like that happened. This was months ago. So yes, they invested into 3 cornerbacks because the room sucked. And they also have Dane Jackson and Trey White, who are old, and they got rid of already because they didn't think they were good enough already. So they needed to invest into that room. The D-line was old, and they needed to rework that room. Where was the wide receiver pick coming from, and where does it make sense to do it if they didn't really want to do it? I don't agree with how they went about it. That's my biggest thing. I don't think Beane needed to go on Jeremy and Joe and go scorched earth this morning, but I think he's feeling the pressure. He's feeling the pressure a little bit with the regime.
You think he was essentially CM Punk in Buffalo a month and a half ago? He planned promo. He was ready to go. It felt to me a little bit like he kind of boiled over grumpiness in the morning. It was a long weekend, Micah. It was very busy. And and then he's waiting on hold.
But Maniac.
I'm not saying that he lost it. I'm saying I'm saying he wanted to. He. It's exactly like you said. And you do make a good point with the bitchin', because he used the bitch ism
right away.
4 times overall. So clearly he got some approval, because you would think as a pro in that spot, you would know you really shouldn't be cursing, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's what I think he did.
Real quick. I'll let you get to the method. The funniest thing to me about all this is that I had so many people who don't typically talk Bills all the time or whatever messaging me like, oh, did you see the GM went crazy on WGR? And it's very funny, because if you listen to the conversation, if this was a conversation occurring in a tailgate lot, nobody would think anybody would have been crazy. But it's just the fact that he's an NFL GM in a polished position that doesn't typically do this, which is why it's so crazy, why it's so good. So now talk to me more about the methodology.
Okay, my last thing on it is I do think it does come. I do think all of this stems from Beane's general grumpiness. I do think that is. But I think because Slick made the point that this is about the conversation even leading into the draft about them needing a wide receiver, and even from years past of them needing a wide receiver. This man's been getting told to draft a wide receiver specifically by WGR. I mean, they have a thing. They literally have a poster.
We got
a poster in there.
We got to go on this real quick though.
But
last year they went off on a huge tangent because of it, and Slick did say it was similar to last year. It was completely different than last year, because when you lost Stephon Diggs, you're telling yourself, well, we can't possibly be better unless we at least try to improve that area, try to improve that. It's like in The Office when they're arguing whether Hillary Swank's hot. And Kelly Kapoor is like, Hillary Swank has to be hot, because if Hillary Swank's not hot, I'm not as hot as Hillary Swank. And when the Bills wide receiver core was going into 2024, they weren't as hot as they were the year before. Now, are they as hot now as they were last year? I don't know. I think a lot of people really fell in love with Matt Collins, but it was kind of that conundrum.
My last thing on it, I feel like Beane, like you said, Micah, he's kind of sick. It's all building up. And then he goes and in his opinion, and probably a lot of people's opinion, drafts a very good draft class of a lot of positions that needed to be addressed based on what happened at the end of last year specifically. And then he got brought in and still heard people complaining, then gets brought in this morning 2 minutes early. He's just in this backstage in the room and hearing them probably still complaining. And he's probably thinking all weekend, oh, all everyone does is bitch. And then he's in his head God damn, they're still bitching. I'm going to do it. I'm going to let loose. I'm going to just fire it off right here when they bring me in. And I think that's what happened. I think it was just a boiling pot that steamed over.
And he mentions a little bit in the beginning of his rant. There's a thing that people have missed a little bit where he mentions that it's not it. The part of it is the questioning he got over the weekend from in all the media sessions. He said there was a vibe of people not asking about like, did they address the offense? Should you have addressed the offense, or how do you feel about going so strong down the defensive end? Which is passive aggressive ways to be like, why didn't you draft a wide receiver? Because we all know that's the question. So he did address it. He did address it in nuanced ways and do like the normal Brandon Beane thing of have a conversation with them, but just the start and it was just such a stark contrast from anything we've seen from Mr. Beane
they're
so
typically
far.
so buttoned up, typically everything coach speak, NFL speak. Yeah, so I think it was refreshing for sure. And you at the very beginning, one of the first things you said was you brought up a good point that Beane's calculated. Like at the end of the day, even if he was going off on a tangent, he kind of knew what he was doing and all of this for sure. And at the end of the day, I don't think anyone at 500 Corporate Parkway is complaining, because I'm pretty sure those numbers were pumping on the Odyssey that day. So just to flip over to the draft talk, I know obviously it was a lot of defense. There were some very good, position players. Obviously, Micah, now that you've had a chance to digest a little bit, I know you've given your thoughts, but anything sticking out to you a couple days in?
Yeah, just like high level thoughts. I'm happy with what they did because I wanted them to address the biggest needs, which was getting a starting corner or a guy who could potentially start a corner and getting defensive line depth. And they did that in droves, right? Like they drafted 3 corners, and you have the first round corner, but we also have to that's great, Sophia. You also have to consider the 4th and 5th round and 6th, or what is it, the 6th and 4th round corners, right? Because Christian Benford's a 6th round corner who is now the Bills' best corner and highest paid corner. So they have 3 guys as options in the secondary now. It's going to be a competitive room. The defensive line, honestly, Dwayne Carter, Daquan Jones, like anybody from last year is on watch to be cut. This is going to be an extremely competitive camp in the secondary and for both those safety positions, for cornerback 2, and for those defensive line positions. So that's what I wanted to see.
If you ask Nate Geary, if you're AJ Epinesa or Dwayne Carter, you might as well pack your bags already.
Hey, if Epinesa gets you a 3rd round pick, would you do it in
thought
August?
Epinesa was our tribal chief. I'm so confused.
I'm just asking.
But that's what I
guess
it comes down to how you view your roster. I mean, if you have 4 bulls, if you have 5 bulls, and one of them is AJ Epinesa, and he's your 5th bull, and you can get a 3rd round pick for him, you might just not have enough room. Good players sometimes don't make like NFL rosters. Like it happens all the time. Sometimes you just run into. Now again, it does become an issue. Like if you're the Bills in 2018, like why are you cutting veteran quarterbacks to end up with like a quarterback room of Nate Peterman, AJ McCarron, and Josh Allen? But yeah, like it's every situation is different. And again, it'll be very interesting to see how this roster shuffles OTAs and everything. I think people are going to be very interested.
It's going to be competitive. I mean, that's where we're at. What's up, Slay?
Yeah, no, I agree. Very competitive. That D tackle specifically, obviously going to be very interesting to watch there. Was happy we addressed the edge. Like I said before the draft, I didn't think we could really count fully going into the season on Joey Bosa's snap count. So it's good to get a beast right there. I think all the guys we got on the front line defensively in this draft are absolute monsters. So you just love to see that. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the meat package and love the Maxwell pick as well. So great draft, Big Beane.
Agreed. Nobody gets after the meat like you. With that said, real quick note. So obviously this was very popular. This was probably one of the more popular national clips today for sure. It was getting picked up by the content aggregators. How about the Ari Myrovs and these other accounts like picking it up and then just citing us? Like that was kind of an interesting situation because we did cut the video first of him or whatever, but obviously like it wasn't our podcast, and anyone with a brain watching the clip would know that wasn't our podcast. It was clearly a radio station, and we listed the radio station tweet. Any thoughts on all that nonsense? It was kind of funny.
I honestly didn't. Sorry, go ahead, Micah.
it's the Wild West out here, bro. Like we posted
It
the
is.
video and we get all the views because he ripped our video of their video, but we can't because if YouTube just let you share clips to all these social medias, it would make them so much money. It would make our lives so much easier. But no, we have to go screen record, and then we just have to I feel like we did our due diligence, because if you go look at our posts, you tag WGR, they can get all the attention from there. It's all in there, everything there. But it's just a weird Wild West on social media, and you just cover your bases where you can, and then hope everybody else falls in line, I guess. I don't know.
We cited where the clip came from, and at the end of the day, I don't want to toot our horn. We got it up 19 minutes before the producer did for WGR. Like, love the producer for WGR, but I mean, if I was sitting in that room when I was hearing that clip and we got a platform to put videos on and everything, I would have been lasering that instant.
If I was Jeremy White, I'd be like looking at my intern in the studio, like that, like that meme where he sees him on the TV. You know, like get that going right now.
Jeremy's brain had to be firing so many different directions, and both of them in so many.
Yeah, he was kind of playing chess with him. You could tell he wanted to fire back right away. He wanted to fire back right away, and then but instead he gave him the how so. that was pretty good. And then Beane took that hezzy though and just went to again. I don't think anybody got quote unquote owned in all this. Like literally, those guys profited massively.
That's why I feel like
they had to do 10x what the projections were today.
Beane saying it's not even like, that's why I feel like it's not out of just spite towards them or anything else. It's more like back off of me. Like
he gave them a rub.
He gave them exactly like they're the beneficiaries. It's more a shot to all of us to be like, get off my ass. Here's the thing about Brandon Beane doing this today too. The draft's over. They don't really have to do anything else for a couple months. They're about this. He's always said like when the draft ends is when the scouting staff and all of them get to go on vacation for a little bit. So I think Beane came out, fired his shots. Now he's gone. He got off that phone call and got on a flight, and he's on a golf course in Florida already. Like Beane doesn't give a fuck anymore. That's the best part about this. I think he went and fired his shot and then said, "All right, you guys deal with this for 5 months. I know you're gonna love that," and then left.
Beane wasn't concerned about any of what was going to come out of this. He just wanted to get some shit off his chest, and then he was like,
"Well, who's going to be mad at him?
Time to hit the links."
The fan base can argue about it.
No one in the organization either. Certainly not.
The players probably loved it. Are you kidding me? They probably hit him up right after, like, this is great.
They're like,
he won over the roster. He literally, every wide receiver on there should be throttling his bottle.
Oh, for sure. Keon was probably pumped hearing that. Are you kidding me?
I was going to say, this was for one wide receiver in particular, and it is because they want to build up the confidence of Keon Coleman to make him a superstar, and this was him defending Keon and saying, fan base, stop saying we need wide receivers. We have one right here. This is going to be the guy. And that's fair. And if the reason that they didn't even bring a guy in is because they wanted to keep Keon confident, if they think that's what he needs to be effective, you got to try it at least for year 2. You can't bail on him after last year, right? Like, so I think Keon is still your wide receiver pick because he didn't play a full season. He showed good signs when he was healthy, and you don't want to piss him off. Like, you don't want to hurt his development at all. Crazy times.
Crazy times indeed.
Agreed for certain. Hold on. I'm trying to can I share this?
I know I see you working. I can see your brain moving around there.
Why won't that? All right.
Shavers is a great blocker, great special
I'm trying to pull up this audio. I'm trying to pull up the full video, but here's the audio. Brandon Beane last
year. Are you hearing anything? I don't hear it, Maniac.
Can't hear it? All right. I don't know what
we
this
don't hear
is. It's just talking about bringing a Super Bowl to Buffalo. It was literally April 28th. It was 1 year ago today. He had that quote. So he was doing a mic drop at One Bills Drive, talking about how he wants nothing more than bring.
So Micah might be right. He might have this date on the calendar ready for.
This must be like when he flails off to the fans, he bounces out for sure.
And then he see you later.
Yeah. And then he goes and takes the ball and goes home.
Speaking of getting bounced out,
He could have been on the golf course. He could have been on the golf course when he's taking the
Dude,
call. He
dead
could have been
ass-
on the cart.
He
He's
dead
just
ass
sitting
could
there
have been a
laughing.
mimosa.
Bro,
deep.
he could have been like two dirty Palmers deep on the cart, ready to like behind another group, getting ready to tee up. And he's
Maybe
like,
he
you know what,
wasn't supposed
Jeremy,
to
I'm
drop
just
the
sick of, I'm
bitchin'.
just sick of the bitching, Jeremy.
Seriously,
Yeah,
sick of bitching.
great times.
Unreal.
Speaking of great times, NHL, NBA playoffs off to a great start. Nothing classic yet, I'd say. We did have the buzzer beater from Gordon. That was pretty epic, even though it was Jokic. Meerkat's boy missing by 2 feet on a game-winning attempt. But, Micah, thoughts on the NBA playoffs so far?
Obviously, most happy about the Cavs hopefully sweeping the Miami Heat tonight. So that's going to be huge. That series, the one you were just speaking of, though, the Clippers and Nuggets, has been electric. Like there's always one first round series that is just a war, and that's been the one this year. They've been going back and forth. Honestly, the Nuggets have no business being in this series, but the Clippers, as if you've been following the NBA, they are a cursed NBA franchise, and they continue to seem to be going that way. So these last 3 games are going to be really interesting. There, OKC just dominated the Grizzlies. Nothing much there. Rockets
no shockers. No shockers so far. There have been there's room for shock.
Would you not say that the Timberwolves 3-1 up on the Lakers?
I was just the Timberwolves is probably the biggest shock at this point.
But that shouldn't, like, they were in the Western Conference Finals last year or whatever, right?
And also the West,
agree, but
like,
just with the whole Luka factor, I guess it is like to some people more of a surprise than I guess.
I'm not trying to act like a genius, but Micah, this Luka experiment. There's really never been a moment where it was going well so far. Truthfully.
So two things. But besides Luka, the fact the West just being like, look at the Rockets and Warriors series. The Warriors have 48 wins. The Rockets had 52. So the West is like just so close together anyway. So it's not a surprise like if any of these teams have control of the series. But the Lakers experiment so far, LeBron can't be playing 46 minutes. He's 40 years old. That's the whole point of Luka, is he's supposed to take that on. And also, they don't have a center. Like, you don't have a center. You don't have any
what
rim protection. And you got Luka and LeBron playing defense.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like, a wash at this point. And then you kind of gotta look at LeBron and be like, hey, bro, can you be done? Like, can we get this rebuild over with? Because here's the thing: if you're the Lakers, like, if they lose this series, you want to speed run to the Luka stage of this build, not the LeBron and Luka stage.
Yeah,
right?
dude, bro, LeBron can't be going anywhere. So what do you mean? Can he?
He's not going anywhere.
To Cleveland?
LeBron's not going anywhere, but I feel like that's what they would want to happen. But that series is interesting. But
LeBron
LeBron and Luka
would be the biggest clown on earth if he drafted Bronny and then LeBron and Bronny just packed shop.
But LeBron and Luka back against the wall here will be very, very good theater. Knicks Pistons also has been a great series. The Knicks are in trouble, I think. They're
definitely in trouble
right now. But the Pistons, I hate both those teams, honestly, so I don't really care what happens there. But I think, honestly, the Knicks and the Pistons are both much worse than the Pacers, who are going to win that series. So the Celtics lucked out compared to the Cavs, looking ahead to the second round there.
It's hard to assess the Celtics because, like, this is just what they do. They kind of play some close games, win like a 4-1, 4-2 series, and move on. Like, it's literally become their MO. So it's tough to say. And the Magic, although they're good, like, there's no need to really over.
They're a fun, scrappy team, and then
they
get one win.
Yeah.
Are the Knicks really in trouble going back to New York up 3-1?
Oh, I'm talking about big picture. In that series, they're probably going to win, but clearly, I think what Mike was saying about that should have been probably a foul, and then you're looking at a 2-2 series.
Yeah,
and even if it was a 2-2 series, you'd be like, they're in trouble. So that degree, like they're a foul call away from being in trouble on a call that the refs had to issue the statement 4 hours later, like it was a foul.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it's just gonna be tough to put that.
As a gambler, you hate to see that. As a game, that should get you 50% off on your loss or something. Like that's just crazy.
In turn, though, the league is definitely gonna want Game 6 in Detroit, with the Knicks up 3-2. So this game 5, like that Detroit's going to be able to muck it up and like try to start a fight. That Detroit wants to start fights. Like that's what they're going to try to do.
So hammer the Pistons at the Garden is what you're saying on Tuesday?
And probably hammer the under too. That's the two things.
We're talking bad boy basketball at that rate.
Knicks.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got a killer B coming in here.
Doesn't he know we're live? Like shit.
Yeah, Knicks. No, he loves the Knicks alt line. He couldn't get away from that sweetness. And then hockey playoffs have been pretty decent. We've had a couple OT games, nothing like no classics, right? Like we have maybe one double OT game.
We had a double OT. I think last night, Oilers bringing back the series, tying it with the Kings. They looked like 2 games in. They were going to be down and out for the count. Like they were getting completely dominated by the Kings. Blues Jets has been electric as well. I meant to ask you guys, since we're on this topic, what do we think of Caps Canadians last night? Tom Wilson, is that a hit to the head? Like I think that's a dirty hit. Everyone's celebrating it.
He kind of ducked at the last second.
He does have his head down, and Tom Wilson's bigger. But like everyone's celebrating this on the timeline like unanimously is crazy to me. Especially when we have Tom Wilson haters out there. I don't know, just my perspective.
I think Tom Wilson was going to hit his head no matter what happened there in that scenario. So
I totally at the end of the day, that is like a keep your head up hockey play. But that guy, that dude got his bell rang.
This day and age, it's like you see it and you're like, I could do it, but I don't have to. And Tom Wilson just doesn't have that bone.
Oh, he doesn't give. I don't even have to say it.
Yeah, everyone has the devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. Tom Wilson has 2 devils.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's my line. What do you guys are the Leafs legit?
No.
Thank
wait
you.
till they
The
play
Senators
Florida, bro.
are
Wait till they
a
play
fucking
Florida.
joke. It's this stupid ass playoff bracket thing they do. Like they should be playing a much better team, I guess. I mean, I think, but whatever.
When they play Florida, I would like to see if they're not, because they can't. They're just pushing around the Sens. The Sens are. Here's my thing about the Sens.
Florida's gonna put up 5 goals a game on the Maple Leafs.
Yes, easily. Does watching the Sens and watching the Canadians a little bit just make you so mad that the Sabres can't make the playoffs? Because these teams are trash, bro.
Yeah, they're not.
And they don't have. Neither of them have players as good as Tage Thompson or Rasmus Dahlin on that team. Either of those teams. Sad. Anyways.
It is sad. Weather is finally getting better. This is the flip side there. We got longer days, better sunny days, getting more done. Post Mania Craze. So we had week after Mania last week. I would say that right now, WWE has as little an advantage over AEW as they have post Mania anytime in the last 3 years.
Okay.
I don't think that's a crazy thing. I think AEW is doing okay. They've gotten a little revitalization lately. I think WWE had a little downturn with WrestleMania.
You want to know why I agree with that? I agree with that? Because the WWE super diehard stands are really defensive right now. Instead of puffing their chest out and being like, this is cinema every week, they're like, oh, look at AEW, they don't get any fans. When they start pointing fingers that it's something AEW is doing something right. And I feel like that's the biggest telltale sign here.
And it's always field goal post moving with those fans when it comes to AEW. They just sold out Arena Mexico in a day or two, 16K. I'm sure there'll be some excuses for that one. But Maniac, I think you're right. I had to think about it because that's a hard-hitting topic. I think the only exception is probably last year, just because you're coming off that fresh title change. The final boss was just in the picture. The Mania was all so crazy. And
I'm saying WWE is ahead of AEW then. This is the first time in 3 years I think AEW is actually close.
Oh, first time in 3 years. Okay, yes. Yeah, for sure.
So it'll be interesting.
What do you think? What do you think it is, Maniac? To flip this to you, what do you think it is in particular that they are doing that has been stronger, or is it WWE? WWE, in my opinion, has been weaker.
Yeah, well, I think WWE is not like literally nuclear anymore.
Yeah,
like
that
there were
helps.
we forget it now, but remember that Road to Mania last year? Like the sellouts, they were just like the sellout tour, the sellout tour, the sellout tour. Now, like they're not selling out anything. Now, again, I don't use that in any like shade or whatever. WWE is clearly a money printing machine, etc. But again, I just don't think their lead is as much. I think that AEW was helped by getting Omega back at this. I can't overstate that. That's a top 2 or 3 wrestler on your show. He's eating up 15 to 25-ish minutes every week for a 2-hour show. So when you get a segment like that back, it's obviously going to be significant. Getting back Adam Cole too is not something to like sleep on. I mean, that's obviously a top 6 wrestler still in the promotion easily, if
And
not
putting titles on both of those guys right away as well.
Exactly. So they're not messing around. They're not making any stupid decisions. The only thing that is, I mean, AEW like literally could be its biggest solution right now if Swerve Strickland just takes like a sledgehammer to the Death Riders tonight. Like I'm telling you, like it would be like WWE would be in trouble if Swerve Strickland was to do something astronomical tonight with the Death Riders. They would be in trouble. That just shows how close they are, in my opinion, with their current programming. Now, again, this isn't their like either of them are bad. I think AEW just got slightly up that scale, and I think WWE is coming down from its like top period, like where it was basically unstoppable for I would say about 18 to 24 months with the Bloodline storyline. You had Drew McIntyre doing amazing secondary work. The women's wrestling across the board was just leagues better. Didn't matter whether you had Lynch as a heel, Lynch as a face, everybody else as well. Rhea Ripley's ascension during that time. There were just a lot of things occurring. Like Judgment Day got to eventually be kind of like a B stable, even though they're on the show all the time, and even though they're on a lot of segments. Like there was a period where, remember, what was that meme? Their music would hit and they were interrupting like everyone. They were kind of like low tier A at that point. Now they've settled into B, where like they have their clubhouse. Like it's like, you know the storylines, Finn's pissed at like some of Carlito's like, taking some shit or whatever. So again, WWE's had that process, but overall,
that coming
that's
down,
great.
and then on top of that, they've had some questionable booking decisions lately.
yes,
So while all that is coming downhill, and then you make questionable decisions, top guys don't show up to top events, and then you have Gunther choking out your commentator the very next night. I know what you're going for, but not all the best in terms of what they can do.
They would tell you the Gunther thing was a huge success, though, even at this point, because they're like the mainstream pop. 100%. So
I don't disagree with that.
It is successful in that, yeah.
I'm with you that I hated the TV angle, but they would tell you that was a success.
Yeah, and I don't
And they just
disagree.
think
I don't disagree with them
success.
either, but like that's not the only example. In terms of booking, and I know you guys know that it
Well,
wasn't.
Bailey, I mean, like again, maybe there's
pulling Bailey out.
There's some very obvious things that like we're like, what the hell is going on?
In the simplest terms, I think both Triple H and Tony Khan can be put in this stated in this way. And what's the problem with both these TVs? A lot of time, both are great at building stories and building stars, and they don't know what to do with the characters once they get them to a certain point. And then they get into this weird transition area where you're trying to figure out what to do. Triple H did his job. He had his vision, built it up straight. And then we got to WrestleMania and, Dwayne's in there and everything's and it's kind of rickety a little bit. But now we see another vision of a path forward. We have this Rollins stuff going forward and everything else. Everything's kind of taking position. Tony Khan, the last 6 months has already been like what we asked for from AEW when we wanted them to, when all the struggles were happening last year in 2023 was like focus, like put your focus on your stars. Like, who do you want us to pay attention to? It was so scattered every week of who we were supposed to pay. And now we know, like, we're supposed to pay attention to Tony Storm and Swerve and the Death Riders and Hangman and MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. Like, these are the people and Mercedes. These are the people every week. These are our main characters. They like establish that. And now they're reaping the benefits of building those characters. And Triple H needs to reinvent these characters and evolve on them, which he hasn't been able to do successfully yet. But he did great success at building them up. So they're really good at getting their ideas on the floor and up and that. And then it's like, okay, but then what? And that's a hard thing with wrestling. Maniac, Mute Monster.
Yeah, it's not too different in a golf tournament. You'll see a guy like 3 or 4 strokes back, and he'll just be dropping in like, amazing like drives, great iron shots, comeback. then when you get to the point where you're back to even, it's kind of hard to keep up that like intensity or that follow through with where you are, because now you're in the spot that you battled to be in. It sounds like that's what both they're doing. You gave me an interesting thought though, and maybe we'll talk about this on Wrestling with Emotion on Wednesday. What if we had a month where Triple H had to go book AEW and Tony Khan had to book WWE?
I mean,
Who would be
Next
the
week,
Triple H
Tony
guys?
Khan
and who
has
would
a
be the
major announcement for WWE.
Wait, can we do this as like a whole thing? Like, who would be the AEW Triple H guys? Who would be the
next week,
WWE
Triple
Tony
H
Khan
makes
guys?
an announcement that will shake the foundation of all elite wrestling.
Oh, and it would be it wouldn't be like a video backstage of Triple H. He'd get the full King of Kings
Yes.
entrance.
Bro, yes, dude.
Come
No,
out.
and he'd get like his own
Absolutely.
cinematic package and then it'd be like, "Welcome to Dynamite."
He really would.
It would be great. Money.
So obviously I know it's Monday. We got a big week ahead. But we also have a big weekend incoming. We have the Buffalo Bandits will be kicking off their semifinal series on Friday against the Vancouver Warriors. And then Saturday we will be at the Ponchos Army meat raffle. That's going to be a ton of fun. Great event to raise money. Always good to give it the meat. Slick, I don't know. You haven't been to this one, have you? You've been to the Ponchos Army golf tournament. You haven't been to the meat raffle.
First time at their meat raffle. I'm excited.
Okay, so we're gonna have you, me, I think Baby Gosha and Co there. 4 kegs, so they're ready for Slick.
Oh,
you know what
geez.
I'm saying?
Oh, they're ready.
And then Sunday we got the Micah Hyde charity softball game and game 2 of the Bandits Warriors series that night at 9 p.m. So quite the weekend ahead. Can't wait. So make sure you're keeping it tuned here, all to Trainwreck Sports. Where we love to hear the bitching.
Hey, I'm a
We
big
love
fan of
bitch,
this.
too. I love the bitch.
Yeah.
We love to bitching and we love to hear it. Make sure you're following on all platforms.
Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
And of course, make sure you're patroning our sponsor, Picasso's Pizza. Go to picassospizza.net for the best pizza in Western New York. Stay tuned this week for more Pay the Bills pod. We'll obviously wrap up the season for Cross the Swords. Keep it going with Banditos, NHL, NBA playoffs, and more. Keep it tuned. But, I mean, you see this weather. You see this beautiful start to the week. I think there's only one thing to do, boys. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Now.